Okay, so a while ago, a friend of mine sent me an intriguing URL saying I suggest we do this sometime. Of course, I'm talking about the Midnight Game, which everybody in our No Sleep knows about for at least the last couple of years. If you're unfamiliar, I'll leave some set of the rules. For those who don't want to read all of that, the gist of it is that you write your name on a piece of paper, put your blood on it, light a big candle, and then put them both in front of your wooden door. As the time nears midnight, you start to knock on your own front door, 22 times. The 22nd knock has to be at the stroke of midnight, and then you blow the candle out and relight it. Doing this is said to invite the Midnight Man into your home, where you must walk around in complete darkness with a candle as your source of light. If the candle goes out, it means he's near, and you have to light your candle within 10 seconds or make a circle around yourself in salt and stay inside it. Other things that can happen are that the room can go cold. You could hear a whisper or even see a humanoid figure as you're walking around. This continues until 3:33 AM, whereupon if you've done everything correctly, you've won the game. If you lose, there are threats of insanity or even death. A couple of other things to mention. I've seen renditions of this where it is said the Midnight Man will make you hallucinate your fears. From the experience I had from 12 till 3:33, I either think that that part was not super integral to my experience, or I didn't fuck up bad enough to hallucinate. Also, it's taken as a direct provocation to try and chide the Midnight Man. I'll explain my colossal fuck up a bit further down. I, like most generic Redditors, don't have any belief in the supernatural, and I like to test little things like this as a way of amusing myself. And, until this weekend, I've had zero respect for anything of this sort. I come into this sub to read Creepypasta, but I'd never had a genuine paranormal experience to the best of my knowledge. Just this past Friday, I remembered suddenly when my friend told me about the Midnight Game. Since I wouldn't have an opportune time to do this otherwise, as I live with my mother and she'd been spending the night at my grandparents' that night, I call up Ryan and ask if he's still in, which he replies, and this is in verbatim, "Shit fucking yeah, I've been waiting for this call." Splendid. My friend, who we'll call Ryan, because his name is Ryan, picks up 2 giant-ass Morton salt shakers on the way over around 10. Alright, Ryan is basically the same as me, smart-ass-ish about these things, but still a little apprehensive of the dark, and as he admitted when he told me about it, he would never do this on his own, but totally would if someone else was with him. So before I continue, I figure I'll give you pictures of my house's interior so you have a frame of reference. I took them just now and I guess I'll be spoiling the account of what happened in one of these photos. If you don't want to look or don't care to, that's fine for the most part, but I have to draw your attention to the 2 photos of my back room. While that room was definitely a mess before we played the game, it wasn't nearly like that. The back room, called a Florida room, is basically a quarter of the house's square footage, so we naturally wanted to include it so we would have as much space as possible. I'll explain how it got to the absolute wreck it is now, as I now go through the chronology of the night. All the times are roughly accurate. I was wearing an analog watch and could check it every so often. Here we go. 11:55 PM. Ryan and I are getting our materials ready so we can write, prick, and knock on all the allotted time span. Ryan suggests that we throw the fuse since turning the lights means losing the game, but I don't really feel comfortable fumbling around with all that. We just need to be disciplined about not turning anything with power on and we'll be good. 11:59 PM to 12 AM. We execute our name cards really well, and I end up doing the honor of knocking. Ryan helps me synchronize the knocks, and I get it right on the dot. We blow out our candles and re-enter, lighting them again. As soon as we both have things lit, Ryan lets out an ooh, and we both laugh a little and relax. 12 AM to 12:45 AM. You're supposed to move around or the Midnight Man is able to find you or something. So we creep slowly, tracing the wall and staying in the more open rooms. We start to go towards my bedroom, but Ryan says that he feels like it would be too cramped. Both of our candles are doing just fine. And as Florida nights are this time of year, the house is hot as expected. As we walk around and talk and joke a bit, we were definitely both nervous to some degree. 12:45 to 12:55 am. Ryan asked me if we're allowed to eat during the game. I actually hadn't a clue and told him to go for it, if he can avoid opening the fridge, since I'm sure the light would disqualify us from the game. I actually don't know what he ate because I forgot to ask, and was distracted by what he said when he came back into the living room. With a full mouth, he says, "When is the Nightman supposed to arrive?" And god damn it, I wish he hadn't said that. Because I reply with, "Nightman? That's..." And in a moment I regret more than anything. I began to sing. "Dayman. Champion of the night, man." Ryan chimes in, and in an instant, we're both singing The Nightman Cometh. It's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Doing that was the single most stupid thing I did, because the night was not the same from that point onwards. 12:58 am. The only reason I remember the exact time is because I was looking at my watch by candlelight when the motherfucker just went out. I didn't think I could panic like such a little girl, and I quickly relight it in no more than 5 seconds. "Shit, that was close," I say, or something like that. Ryan just looks at me silently. He makes a weird face and I ask him what's wrong. "What did you say?" he asks me, and I repeat myself. I said, "Shit, that was close." He waves his hands and says, No, I heard that. What did you start to say right after that?" Apparently, he had heard me whispering words immediately following what I'd said. We move over towards the bathroom and the hallway pretty quickly. 1:25 am. We've been walking around slowly, but with a bit more purpose than before. No more joking around. Not much talking between us except necessary communication. We both feel a little more humbled than we had when we started. We both start to go from my bedroom and towards my mum's room. And that's when I look to the right and into the hallway bathroom. There's a fucking figure just standing in the tub, partially obscured by the drawn curtain. Our candles remain intact, so I grab Ryan's shirt firmly and speed walk towards the kitchen. Ryan didn't even ask me what was going on. Once we got to the far end of the kitchen, I asked him if he saw it too. He did. At this point, Ryan asked me if there was anything in the rules that lets you opt out of the game. He really didn't want to continue, but he was too scared to turn on the lights and find out what happened from there. So he continued with me. I don't know what I would have done if he'd left. 1:40 am. We're staying in the kitchen and garage area, going back and forth between them, and I'm basically holding my breath whenever I go through a threshold, since I just expect to see him there. Things seem to calm down for a bit, until, around this time, I realize something horrible. "Ryan?" I ask. "Where is the salt you bought?" I didn't ask him because I didn't know, but because I didn't want to have to say it. He answered just as I thought he would. "Your bedroom." Damn it, son of a whore. We talk it over for a minute, and basically conclude that we absolutely need the salt if things go wrong. We start towards my room. 1:45 am. Even though the kitchen and bedroom are barely more than a 10-second sprint from each other, we don't dare do that. Any quick motion is basically just begging for your candle to go out, and I can't help but feel like running will provoke him. We inch our way towards the hall, and finally, we have the same view of the bathroom that we had before. I make myself look because I can't not. If he's still there, I want to know. And nothing. I just see a dark bathroom and nothing but that. I think that was the most relieved I felt all game, which is stupid. As other players have mentioned, it seems like optimism is enough to draw him to you. I walk through the hallway and into my bedroom, and I can see the giant cylinders of salt sitting right in front of my computer monitor. As soon as I grab one of them, the room goes cold. Of all the fucking rooms in my house that never gets cold, it's my bedroom. My bedroom is the hottest in the house due to shitty insulation, and yet I have the sudden urge to shiver. I turn around immediately and with a salt shaker in hand and another under my arm, and motherfucker. 1:47 AM. Two things immediately catch my eye. A, I don't see Ryan, who had been behind me up until the hallway to the bedroom. I do, however, see the glow of his candle coming from around the corner. I take a moment to wonder why he didn't come in to help me, since I only have one free hand due to the other grasping a candle, and I get my fucking answer. B, the subtlest, most disturbing bob of a head to my left, right over by my bed. I swear to you all, there was a figure just sitting in the middle of my bed, and his head had just moved. Between the cold and the lack of Ryan near me, and now this man who is silently perched on my bed, I lose my shit. I run straight out the door, my candle miraculously staying lit, but I drop the salt shaker that I had in my armpit, and I only emerge with one of them. I expect Ryan to get mad at me, but I round the corner and his eyes are so wide that I became startled again. "Go, go, go!" he says right before his candle goes out. I feel awful for this, but I kept booking it back to the kitchen, turning around as soon as candlelight reappears from behind. I don't know how long it took him, but it definitely didn't exceed 10 seconds. I tried to apologize to him and he tells me that, in all honesty, he would have done the same thing. 1:50 AM to 2:30 AM. We decided to basically avoid the eastern part of the house, since both times of seeing him involved my bathroom or bedroom, and the living room was where my candle had gone out the first time. We also discussed the salt shaker situation, coming to the mutual decision that if one of our candles fail, that person will circle themselves and give out the shaker to the other person to continue on. At this point, that happening is my biggest fear. For Ryan's candle to go out, him having to plant himself in the house, and me having to go traversing on my own for the rest of it. Even though we had a 40-minute period of absolute nothing, there wasn't a single ounce of relief to come with each passing minute. Relief felt like a weakness to me, and weakness felt like something the Midnight Man would see. 2:30 AM to 2:40 AM. We decided to go into the Florida room for the first time all night. It extends so long across the house that I feel like there are so many chances to see him just lurking. But I feel like staying in the kitchen and garage and dining area is going to do us in. So we enter. We have just a tiny bit of light coming through the terrace windows from the streetlights on the avenue, but it's barely a glow. This room is still very much dark, and we do the only thing we can think of. Pace up and down it slowly, hoping that the last hour or so will go well. 2:45 AM. If you looked at the pictures, you'll see that there's a futon at one end of the room. Ryan and I sat on it to rest for a few minutes, since we'd been basically on our feet since midnight. Like an idiot, I let myself get hopeful at what time it was, how we'd be done with this nonsense in a really short period, how we survived the He's right fucking there. I look up and see the blinds parted just a smidgen, before I even look up and see the darkened figure. I get off the bed and dart straight ahead. I run about halfway through the room, and in the most terrifying second of my whole life, something comes crashing down on me. My overactive imagination can only assume one thing. The Midnight Man materialized through the glass slider and pounced on me like a fucking hunter from Left 4 Dead. But after a second or two, I realized that what's on me is flat and scratchy. Ryan shouts out from behind. At first I assumed it's because he saw me get hit by the clunk of ceiling that had just swiped the side of my fucking head. But no. His candle had gone out again. I turn, a great deal of pain still in my mind, to see him booking it towards me. "Light your candle!" I yell. But he doesn't respond to that. I notice now that he isn't even holding his candle anymore, but the salt shaker. He does something that I'd never even thought of. He started pouring a salt circle around the both of us, an amorphous boundary that seems to connect just fine, and it's absolutely huge. Even though I have a lit candle, I'm inside of it with him, and his face looks absolutely horrified. A brief terror comes over me. Now I have to go play the game myself the rest of the night, which is followed by a sudden realization. No, I don't. And I blow out my candle. 2:50 AM to 3:33 AM. Oh Christ. I almost don't even want to talk about this part. The first thing my mind conceives upon blowing out the candle is that I made a really fucking stupid decision. This is followed by reminding myself that I'm already in the salt circle. And Ryan even says to me, Good, I'm really glad you did that. The two of us are just sitting on this disgusting floor, the salt border honestly looking more like an acorn than a circle. But there aren't any gaps. We sit, and there's nothing but complete silence. My pupils are still getting cozy with the idea of dilating after all that candle time. But I swear, I'm seeing movement over on the futon where we had been. I don't ask Ryan to turn and look at it with me. I just want it to end. Throughout the nearly 3/4 of an hour we spent in that cramped salt acorn, we both got chills at completely separate times. I heard a whisper, no, 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 like a mantra for about 30 seconds. And when I looked at Ryan to comfort him, I'm horrified to see that he isn't the one saying it. By the time the watch hit 3:33, we hadn't moved. We didn't leave the damn thing until at least 3:40. Both slowly and silently, we got up and turned on every light in the house. The afterword of this whole experience? I went to the bathroom to see what kind of mark that ceiling piece had left. As you could see, the piece of ceiling that fell was clearly a part of an already deteriorating room. The rest of the ceiling had fallen last summer, but there was no activity back there since. The fact that another large chunk would just fall as we were playing the midnight game, right after seeing him, and right as I'm underneath it, is staggeringly horrible. It has been a few days, so it's not nearly as bad as it was, but this is the small gash that I was left with. I've had horrible nightmares the past 2 nights. Horrible. People I know in places from my childhood. They'll be talking to me normally and calmly, and then suddenly, their eyes are pupilless and their tongue is wagging, almost absurdly creepy as the original Evil Dead, only realistic in a way that I cannot and will not describe. None of my dreams have involved the Midnight Man, but I can't help but feel like I lost. We should never have shared the same salt circle, because that was never verified as workable in the rules. I shouldn't have blown out my fucking candle myself, even if I was in the circle. The circle was, as I said, barely a circle. How the hell have past players managed to do a circle in the dark? I don't know if I'm being tormented, or if I'm just paranoid. Ryan and I spoke the next day, and he had a nightmare as well. But his had to do with drowning and being resurrected and drowning again. I haven't spoken to him yet today, so I don't know if he's had another bad dream tonight. Thanks for sticking around to the end. And if you enjoyed today's story, make sure to leave a like. And if you want more like it, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a story. If you need more now, why not check out my Creepypasta playlist? I'll leave that on this card, and I'll catch you in the next story.